This podcast has mature language, not intended for underage viewers.
Street cred sports. Street cred sports. I'm crossing over. I'm Euro stepping.
Hello, this is Keenan with Street Cred Sports Training, and welcome to another episode of Time to Ball. I'm your host, Keenan. Hope everybody's doing well. I know we thought that we were out of the woods with this damn heat, and nope. I don't even believe it now when they say it's going to be under 90 in a week. Like, yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, I'm not trying to hear it. It's just hot. And I love the warmer temperatures, but this summer has just been brutal, mainly because I've had to get up and go early to the facility every day to try to keep it somewhat reasonably cool. So that drive back and forth every day, filling up the extra water things. So yeah, it's been a summer. So my wife is a big fall person. If she could keep her fall stuff up the whole year, she would. She could keep her Christmas stuff up the whole year, she would. I always tell her, no, we're not gonna be that house that has that stuff up. And then she's into the pumpkin spice lattes and all of that stuff. I'm not a Starbucks or a coffee person. She loves it, but I actually agree with her. I can't wait for fall this year. I can't wait for it to go outside and it's a little chilly. And I'm like, oh man, okay, all right. I'd enjoy that. But, hopefully we're staying, everybody's staying pat. Got another tropical storm or depression that's coming. It might hit the East Coast, so stay tuned. I might just have my own weather channel. We'll call it Weather K. I actually like how that sounded, Weather K. All right, so again, I hope everybody's doing well. Let me get into some things that interest me. It's amazing, because I'll have a whole bunch of stuff that I'm going to talk about, but then once I'm consuming a lot of stuff, podcasts, different shows on different channels, and I've always done it. It's not like, oh, I got to start doing this now because I have a podcast. I've always done it, and I just do it just to hear what other people say. And I was listening to something, and I had to add a couple of things to the podcast, because I was listening to a NFL on Sirius XM radio. I won't say the name of the host, but I guess if you listen to it and I'm talking about it in the morning, you probably know who I'm talking about. But they were talking about predictions as far as, football. Obviously, they were talking about predictions for, NFC teams, AFC teams. And they were split. And it was almost like one was like looking at, what they did last year. And then the other one was looking at what they were going to have for this year. And it made me wonder, when you're predicting things, are you basing it on past performance or potential? So I'll give you an example. We'll use football. I'll give you an example. Detroit Lions last year won 8 out of the last 9 games. They were on fire. Okay, they didn't make the playoffs. But people are predicting them to win the NFC North and contend, be a contender. I don't know what that totally means. If I've heard people say contender in the playoffs, I don't know if it means Super Bowl contender, but they are predicted to be a strong team, right? So that's based on past performance. But then the other guy looks at it and is like, yeah, but that was last year. And it's like, what do they have this year that just basically makes you see or makes you feel like they're going to be a great team? So it made me wonder, like, do you base it on what a team did last year, or do you base it on what they're projected? So if we go to NBA, let's say Phoenix Suns. People are talking about them because of all the talent they have. Right now, they weren't bad last year. They were good, but they're a contender. You talk about the Lakers. Lakers were Western Conference Finals. They lose some pieces, but they gain some pieces, right? So are you gonna overall? Do you base it on past performance or potential? I guess when you're doing scouting, if you're talking about projecting how a kid's gonna turn out from their high school up to the college, you're projecting, you see him and see him or her in the next 3 or 4 years being this type of player, and that's what allows you to, recruit them. Same with the NFL. But like, what are we using? Are we using past performance? Because I'll use the Saints. The Saints were, and I know my lovely wife is gonna be happy that I'm talking about her Saints. But the Saints had, they have, to me, I look at the roster and they're loaded. And there are some people that are picking them to go to Super Bowl. It's not me, because I told you I'll never pick them, right? But then you listen to other people and it's like, some people don't think that they can win their division. They think Carolina's going to win. So they're basing it on, not past performance, but what they're projected to do. So it's weird. It's weird. Y'all tell me what y'all think, because, I don't know if you should base it on past performance or potential. So, let me know what y'all think. Okay. Let me delve a little bit deeper into what I was looking at, what I was thinking about when I was listening to all of this. Now, I feel strongly that if you're going to be considered a reputable, analyst or pundit, whatever it is when you're analyzing or talking about sports or something, for me, obviously, you need to have knowledge. To me, I feel like the best conversations about a sport are when you have knowledgeable people from that sport. They can break down film. Of course, they're going to have opinions, and you're going to base certain things, but they know the ins and outs, right? They know the ins and outs of the game because they played the game. When you don't have that, it's good for just fodder or barbershop talk, but to me, it's not as genuine. I don't latch on to it as much. I'll listen, but I'm not consuming it the way I want to. But to be reputable, I feel strongly that you have to be non-biased. You can't have a team, or I'm trying to figure out how to put this into words. Okay, I'll give you an example. If you have a player who's a person who's an analyst, right, and they've played the game, you have to worry about when they're talking about something, is their allegiance still to that team, or they're going to give it to you straight? Now, some do. I think coaches who didn't play but have coached, I think they tend to have, more of a non-bias when they're talking about something. But like listening to that show this morning, I couldn't tell. But I think if you're going to be a reputable person, you can't have a bias. You can't, like, okay, who should I take? Okay, I'll throw it out there. I'll use Stephen A. Smith. He loves New York. He's a Knicks fan. He's a Giants fan. So on and so forth. He loves the Steelers. The Steelers are his team. He says it all the time. So when you're breaking down stuff, now he's not as biased when he's talking about some teams. He is honest with them if they're not good or not. But sometimes it just feels like, when you're listening to him, you don't get like a non-biased feel, because when it comes to some teams, because this person follows this team or that player. I think it's really hard to do it because, like, I don't follow a team. I don't have a team. I love matchups, right? But I would say I'd find myself when I'm listening to people talking about a team that I tend to like. I'm kind of like my radar goes up, my ears perk up, like, man, you crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. But for the most part, I like to try to break down stuff, and I love matchups. So I wonder if, if there's a way to like put together something where you can say, okay, if you're going to be an analyst or a pundit, this is what, you have to have, because when you put guys on television or on podcasts and you're having them talking about a situation, the ones that hadn't played, they don't always sound like they know what they're talking about, but then they're biased. I can use Skip Bayless. He's biased towards the Cowboys. He's biased towards certain players. So those players, no matter how bad they play, he's never going to give an objectionable opinion where it's like, you know what? Yeah, he was bad. It's either you rolling with, like people say, yo, Skip is the ultimate dude. Like if he rolling with you, he rolling with you. He gonna have you to the end, even if you're a bum and you had all his money and you lost all his money and you're a bum in the street. He gonna be like, man, look, he's still that dude. He's the greatest bum ever to be or whatever. So I just want people to not come in and have like a bias for towards a team or a person, and to be able to call it out when they see it, when something's going right or wrong. All right, so I know y'all been waiting on this. I call it the Deion Effect. That's what I call it. I call it the Deion Effect. Y'all know what it is. I shouldn't even have to say more than the Deion Effect. Man came in and he got blasted for the way he, recruited, how he kicked a lot of kids out. And look, I know a kid personally that had signed to play there. He was signed to play there. And then Deion came. They was excited to have Deion. And Deion effectively told everybody, no, you're not, I'm not taking you. Now, do I agree with that cold-heartedly? I understand where Deion was coming from. Now, what I would have liked to have done was to have some way to have an open competition. This is what I'm looking for. You come in and compete, and if you can come in and compete and show A, B, and C, yeah, you got opportunity. If you can't, then, you need to go. Now, most of this kid landed on his feet, and a lot of kids landed on his feet, and a lot of people were upset with how he did it. I know what he was doing. I just think, hey, because you're doing it kind of late in the season, to me, it's kind of late. So now these kids are scrambling to try to find some other place to play. So I felt like, I love what he did because they were 1-11. So you have to change that culture. I just feel that you could have had a little bit of a better way to allow those kids to show you that they were, hey, maybe it was the coach. Maybe they'll run through a wall for you because of the Deion Effect. Give them an opportunity with whatever it is you have, because obviously the players you had coming in had something about them that you wanted. So give these other kids an opportunity. But needless to say, those kids have moved on. Deion's got it, and everybody's waiting to see what's going to happen. I thought when they played against TCU, I was like, I hadn't seen, the players, I didn't have nothing to go by. TCU just went to the national championship last year. They were 17th in the country. They lost, a lot. They had turnover and stuff, but you don't just get a ranking just to get a ranking, which is another conversation I'll have next time, because I'm really tired of that. But they, you figured they were going to be good. I thought, I don't know if they can win because I'm not in the locker room. I hadn't seen them in preseason or anything, and they don't have that in college. I figured, if they can be competitive, and even if they lose the game, I'm not saying I was hoping they lose or I thought they would lose. I was just being honest. Like, you know what? I don't know. So even if they lose, as long as it's a competitive game, he's won. Even if he lost, he won. The only way there would have been a question is if they'd went up there and got blown out by TCU. But that's not what happened. They got up there and not only won, but they looked very good. So now I have something to go by. And I'm looking at their schedule saying, to me, unless it was a fluke, I'd need to see one or two more games. But I see them I could see them getting into maybe a lesser bowl game this year. I could see them getting 6 to 7 wins, at least, to where they bowl eligible. And as long as they have the requirements, every bowl in the nation is going to try to get them because of the Deion effect. I just saw something today. The highest rated game for this week for college football was LSU versus Florida State. 9.67, I think, viewers. Now, that was prime time on a Sunday night. Deion's game was doing a 10 a.m. Saturday morning when you have all the games going on, and they were second with 7-point-something million viewers. That's the Deion effect. Right? Now, getting into that, I do need to bring something up. Because I want to see them. I know it's weird when you say you want to see all teams succeed, because obviously you're going to have winners or losers. I just want everything to be competitive and stuff, and, let the game play itself out, right? What bothers me are when you have analysts and people out there who have this absolute mentality. I'm going to throw his name out there because he said it now. And I tried to read and see context because I didn't want to be that person who saw something, a headline, clicking, oh, this is what he said. Oh, that's messed up. But then when you read the article, you're like, oh, okay, I get what they're saying. Dan Mullen, who's with CBS, actually said his words were that they are absolutely not contenders in the Pac-12. My question is, after seeing that game, I'm not saying that he's wrong, but to say absolutely not, you're basically saying there's no way. So 2 or 3 games from now, let's say they beat, Oregon State, they beat Nebraska, they beat Oregon State. I think they're going to play USC, at some point. They go head to head with USC and they lose. But it's, nail biter, because USC ain't stopping nobody from scoring. Let's be real. They're not a team that's going to beat you defensively. They're going to make some plays, but they're an offensive team. Okay. How do you say that they're absolutely not contenders? There's only 3 teams on there that could be, that right now ranked. You got Oregon State, Oregon, and USC. I think those are the 3 teams that are winning. So let's say, hypothetically, Colorado runs the rest of the table. They beat all the other teams they should beat, except for the ranked teams. But now they're ranked number 22. So let's say they don't beat the teams ahead of them in the ranking. But those teams got to play each other too. So if they beat up on each other at the end of the year, they could be a contender. So I hate when people say, I always use the term from Star Wars, the Siths, not the Jedis, but the Siths deal in absolute. It's either me or this. It shouldn't be like that. You should have leeway. All right, I'm sorry, I kind of went on the Star Wars tangent. That's my stuff. But in any case, it has a different feel. Now, what do I mean by different feel? Sometimes when you're critiquing or criticizing, you can honestly listen in the voice when people are criticizing and understand what they're criticizing. It's been a little different. Like, you had people that were calling, things out about, how Deion is. Deion's always been like that. And the thing about Deion now is he's doing it when they said he couldn't do it. Obviously, it's one game, right? But he's already exceeded if he doesn't win another game, the hype that he's been surrounded with has benefited Colorado, and it's going to help him next year with recruiting. I think they're going to be, like I put on Facebook, they've already tied their record winning from last year on the first week against the ranked team at their home. There's no reason to believe that this team can't win more than 6 games. Right? When you look at the schedule, there's no reason to believe that they can't. Hell, I'd say there's no reason to think that they can't win 9 games. Will they do it? Obviously, we need to see. Okay, so my next question is it ever a time to stop a program that just doesn't win at all? Whether it's high school, whether it's college, whether it's pro. Is it? Because there are some high schools, and I don't want to say the names of these high schools, but I was looking at the ticker, when they were talking about, the football scores from high school. And there are a couple of high schools I was like, oh yeah, I know when they show them, they're going to show that they lost. I hate to say it because I don't remember those teams having, competitive teams and winning. And this team lost by a lot. You look at college. There are some teams in college, football and basketball, that just don't win. They lose a lot, really bad. You go into the pros. There are some professional teams that just aren't good. They're not good. They're really bad teams. On NFL, NBA, MLB, whatever. You're going to have some teams that are just really non-competitive. So my question is, at some point, when do you say, okay, yeah, we just going to have to take y'all license. Y'all can't play, sports because your product is just that bad. I understand in high school, it's to build social characters, to do certain things. Everybody has the right, to play sports and stuff. So they do it, but man, if you're not competing enough to where you're losing almost every year, you're winning 1 or 2 in football, maybe 3 games. In basketball, you're winning 5 to maybe 10 games a season. That's not good. Nobody wants to see that. That's not competitive. So my question to y'all is there ever a time where you just say, yeah, we've looked at 5 past seasons and we feel that your team is no longer relevant or eligible to play based on performance? Yeah, you got a 2 and you got a record of 2 and 220 over the past 5 years. We're still trying to figure out how you won those 2 games, and we're looking at those 2 teams because we might have to take those teams out because they lost to you. That's so bad. That's so bad on the high school level. On the college, pro level, that's different. Those are, especially on the pro level. You can't just be losing out like that all the time. You can go through bad. You can go through some bad, but some of these teams are they don't put out a good product. And it's almost like they're going to lose. I hate to say it, but it's like they're going to lose before they take the field, and you feel so bad for them. So let me know what y'all think on that. How off am I? Am I off? Maybe I am. But I would like to see it. Okay. Let me go into basketball ideology. Here's a question, or not even a question, it's something that that I've always thought about. And it's concerning fouls. Okay. You hear people say, that's a foul. That's a foul. And I don't think a lot of people know exactly what a foul is. A foul is when the offensive or defensive player impedes the progress. Well, that sounds weird because that's what the defensive player is supposed to do. And that's what the offensive player is trying to avoid, is the defensive player impeding the progress, or impeding their right to a spot or to get to a spot. So what you have to understand is in sports, there is contact. I think the only sports where there's really not any contact is, off the top of my head, is golf, tennis, volleyball. And when I say contact, I mean the opposing players contacting themselves. You can get hit with the tennis ball. You can get hit with a golf ball. Mainly the audience gets hit with the golf ball. But off the top of my head, those sports you don't have, in baseball, you can run into each other. So there's going to be contact. But when it comes to basketball, contact is allowed. The closer you get into the rim, the more contact referees allow. The further out you are, that's when they, really call hand checking, bodying, and stuff. But as you get closer to the go closer to the rim, like starting to get inside that 3-point line, and from the 3-point line to the free throw line, they call it differently than from the free throw to the basket when it comes to contact. I'm not saying fouls. I'm saying contact. They let you get, a little bit more physical. So I'm saying that because, like, you watch FIBA, you watch WNBA, you watch college, you watch NBA, you watch high school, you watch City League, all of this basketball games. And there's constantly people yelling, that's a foul. And then the players, play. Stop acting like you guys are can't be touched. Basketball is a contact sport. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, object or let the referee know, hey, you're holding. I used to have guys like physically grab me and apologize before they do it. Like, hey, man, I'm sorry, but I'm not letting you get the ball. I'm not letting you get the ball. And I'm like, yo, are you watching him just really grab my jersey and not let me go? So then I got to the point to where I was like, I don't even want to foul. I don't even want him to call it. I'm just going to play through it, like we used to play through it back at home at the park, because you couldn't just call a foul. And if it was game point and you were getting mauled, you getting mauled and beat up to go to hit the last shot for that game, you get fouled really hard and you say, oh, that's me, man. That's up top. And they'd be like, no, I didn't touch you. Shoot for it, right? That was the comeback. You'd have to go to the top of the key. If you made the shot, then you got the ball. If you missed it, then it's the other team's ball, which is messed up because guys would literally try to clock you to keep you from making the final basket and then tell you that they didn't clock you. Like, yo, do you see this? You not see this knot on my head that I just got that's just starting to drip blood? Do you not see the skin underneath your fingernails? That's skin from my head that you just drew blood on. But what I'm saying is there is foul and there's contact. And I think if players started to complain less, I get the whole, well, you're showing the ref that you were foul. How about playing through the contact? How about that? Because if you don't get the foul, if you're focused on the shot, you don't get the foul, you're still where you need to be mentally to go up for that shot, to get to where you need to get. But if you're so worried about getting the foul, then you're going to turn around and be complaining and stuff, and then you look up and they don't call it. Now you've missed your opportunity to continue doing something. I see it all the time. All the time. Not every contact is a foul. Please stop it. Coaches, players, spectators, please stop it. I'm not saying they're not fouls, but I'm saying not everything you see is a foul. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to go into this myth that coaches should play all of their players on a high school, college, or pro team. Now, I'm speaking of competitive teams. When you're in if you're on a competitive team, now obviously when you're in high school, it's competitive. You're not playing for development of the kids. You're playing to win. You're trying to win your district. You're trying to get in the playoffs. You're trying to get to the tournament, right? To the state finals. College, same thing. You're trying to win your conference. You're trying to get in the tournament. You're trying to win the NCAA double A tournament. Same thing with pros. Trying to win your division, get in the playoffs, get to the Super Bowl or the NBA All-Star. I mean, not All-Star, but the NBA Finals. All of those things. Okay, you are trying to get there. Now, this is different than if you're on a team where it's a developmental. Now, when I say this, I'm really only talking about lower level, meaning city league, where you have kids that are, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, maybe 7th or 8th. Sometimes high school. But at high school, it's hard to play competitively if you're developmental. It's really hard. It's really hard to get in because there's really no set of circumstances where you're gonna have. I mean, no, you're gonna be able to. You can find 10 to 40 kids that didn't make their team, that weren't that good, and put them and develop a league or something like that, I guess. But when you're in competitive, there is no situation where the coach has to play your son or daughter. You need to stop thinking that you're going to be in a rotation, right? You don't be upset. Well, I'll put it. Stop thinking that you're going to be in a rotation and force the coaches to make a decision for you to be in a rotation. Now, I will say that there are some situations, not an overwhelming, but I've seen a growing situations where you have some people that, maybe are playing whatever it is, favorites, or they go, with so many players and they don't play other players they don't play their bench, right? I'm talking about overwhelming. You're not going, if you got 12 kids on the roster, you're not going to see 12 kids play every game. It doesn't happen. Name me the team that plays their whole roster 70 to 80% of the season, other than like Team USA. Team USA, especially with the 92 up until closer to now, they might have 12 players. They probably play 8 to 10 of those players, maybe 11 of those players almost every game. There might be situations where they might drop down to 8 or 9 because of a matchup. But even in football isn't playing every single player. And when it comes to pros, when it comes to college, not even in high school. Now, the reasons vary, but what I would say is you got to find out what it is, the reason that you're not playing. Sometimes it's not even about what you're not doing or what you're doing. You could be good. You just might not be as good as the people in front of you. If the people okay, so I give you an example. Let's say you're a shooting guard and you're really good at being a shooting guard. And you're playing, right? You're not playing. You're not playing, but guess who the other two shooting guards ahead of you are? Jordan and Kobe, right? Now, this is not going to be in every situation. I'm just giving you an example. If the guys in front of you that are playing shooting guard, that are taking away your minutes, are really, really good, and they both do things better than you in certain situations, they're going to get a bulk of the minutes. It's your job to improve upon those things and make it to where you either doing better things than what they're doing, or you're on the same level to where they're like, yo, I can go 3 deep. I can get these guys minutes. I can have my shooting guards be even more aggressive defensively, because if they get fouls, I got 3 kids that I can play at that position. So stop worrying about why they're not playing you, and focus on what you need to do and the players that are ahead of you so you can get more minutes. Will it happen in every situation? No. It's not going to happen in every situation because it varies. I mean, there's a lot I can say. There's a lot I can say with why. And some of it's not right. Some of it is just, it's stupidity in the leadership department. But, it'll work itself out, I think. It always works itself out. So for those players that are on teams, you have to be honest with yourself and say, hey, you know what? These kids at my position are better than me. I'm not going to get the playing time that I get. Well, maybe you can find something that you do well or that you can do well and help the team. I'll tell you right now, if you can get in any game if you can lock up and play really good defense. But you can get you some minutes. If you just play really good defense and hustle, you don't have to go in and be like this talented shooter, right? Coaches will play kids that are just really good defensively, and they know they're not going to hurt them offensively. They're just going to play really good defense. They're going to be disruptive. So that's kind of how you want to look at it, okay? So I really think, if y'all out there listening or if you know somebody in that position, sometimes we need to look at ourselves and hold ourselves accountable, right? Not every situation is going to warrant that because not everybody is holding themselves accountable. But I think we need to stop thinking about why we're not playing and look at what we need to do to play, if that makes sense. All right. So that's going to be all for now. There is going to be bonus content. The bonus content I'm going to talk about, is European basketball more physical than American? And then I'm going to talk about, parents who seem to feel like they know more than people who are are in that field, like trainers, really good coaches, maybe scouts and stuff like that. So I'm going to leave it where I always do. I hope you guys have, great day, great week. I always hate it when somebody say, have a great day. And it's like, I always feel like, well, if I say have a great day, does that mean I only want them to have today? I don't care about tomorrow. And if you say have a great life, it really sounds like you're mad at them. Like when you argue, you know what? You just have a great life and then you leave. It usually means like you don't want to see that person. So it's odd. So I'll just say, hey, you know what? Y'all take care. Because I think if I say y'all take care, that's going to mean y'all take care ever, anytime, whatever. But yeah, I'm on some tangents today. But I'm going to end it like I always do. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. I'm out.
Street cred sports, say it with your chest. Yeah. Go get it from the net. Street cred sports, okay, that's a bet.